Hi everyone, so a couple of people have asked me for a basic demonstration of adding reverb to a kick and a snare using the Isla 2400, S2400 and the DSP card which I've got installed. I have a vanilla set of drum channels. This is a Wave Alchemy set of Lindrum samples, and I love Wave Alchemy samples, they're brilliant. Anyway, so we're going to go through two ways of getting reverb on the kick and the snare. The first way is a very simple way, and I would use this when I'm jamming with my mates or just mucking around. So I'm in pattern, I'm in track A1 at the moment. We've got this nice Lindrum sample, but we need to be in the DSP bank, which you access by holding bank and 0, and it goes to DSP mixer. That's showing me that I've got 8 individual bus outputs. Those outputs are going to my Motu interface as a snake cable. So what I want to do is add a reverb sound to the kick and to the snare. First, I'm going to do it just by adding it to bus 1. Now this is analogous with output 1 on the back of the Isla. And all I'm going to do is go over here, go to plugins, add plugin, add room reverb. That's the Dragonfly room reverb from the Isla site. It's lovely. And I've applied that. And I guess I should hit the kick button so you can hear it. Here we go. Right, now we've got reverb. Now if we want to disable that, you just scroll up to it and you go, you remove the enabled tick. All right, the snare is still dry. What are we going to do about that? Well, we're going to go back and we're going to bank 1, then we go shift 2 to go to my snare. And I just want to show you this because it just shows you the logic of how the buses work. Right now, output 2 doesn't have a VST on it, but output 1 does. So what about if I just went like this? All right. There you go. So now I've got reverb on the kick and the snare. But let's say we want to have different reverb settings for the kick and the snare instead of using the same settings. Remember, we're only using one instance of the Dragonfly room reverb, and the kick and the snare are both being routed to the same output. What that means is that when I'm multi-tracking in Cubase, the kick and the snare will be on the same channel, which isn't usually what I would want. So I'm going to go back to shift 2, and I'm going to make sure I put output back to 2 so that it's going through output 2, which, as you know, has no effect on it. So there's the snare is dry again, the kick is wet. I'm going to go to bank 0, I'm going to hit shift 2, and I'm going to go down the list to plugins. I'm going to add room reverb. I have reverb on both channels. What if I want some mad reverb on the snare? I'm going to click into Dragonfly room reverb. I'm going to go to decay. Now I love this. Once you've selected in by hitting the select button function, this fader number 8 becomes your way of dialing it in. I love it. So let's hit the snare. Sorry, not in the snare now, I'm in the kick, and I just created a monstrous cavernous. I don't know how that sounds through my phone, and I can't be bothered setting it up properly, so. And you can hear the snare's still got a very light reverb on it. Let's go to the snare then, and we'll turn that one up. All right, that's big enough. Right now the kick has very little, so let's go back in and add some more to the kick. I'm only messing with decay here. You've got so many settings here. It's a really good plugin. Oh, you see? So it's as easy as that. What I've done in retrospect here is I started by applying a single Dragonfly room reverb VST to output 1, which the kick was automatically routed to for audio. And then I manually changed the snare to route, instead of output 2, to output 1. Easy as that, one plugin facilitating reverb or an effect for 2 sample channels. Then, deciding that I wanted to be a bit smarter than that and restore the individual channels, I put the snare back on channel 2 and I applied a second instance of the Dragonfly room reverb and I modified the decay. So what does it sound like? There's way too much reverb on that snare, okay? All right, go back to the kick. Let's weten that up a bit. Let's moisten the kick. There you go. Now again, if I wanted to, I could go back to bank 0, shift 7. I'm now in, I'm not where I wanted to be rather. Okay, so bank 0. Sorry, I got to go to there. I got to stop running. So bank 0, shift 7. I'm not even going to talk about where I went to accidentally there because it's awesome, but this video will come a lot longer. So let's say that on that sound, I want some reverb, and I'm happy with that one. Perhaps going to the same as the kick or the snare. So well, let's test that out. So we're here, and we're going to go to output 2. It's pretty wet. That might be better, right? So now I am sort of aggregating channel 7, sample channel 7 down to bus output 1. I think that sounds all right. So I've sort of got, I do have things mixed together via an output that you would never want to do if you were multi-tracking, but for jamming or whatever, or even performance, it would be just fine. I hope this video hasn't been too long, but I do hope it answers the question about how easy it is to set up individual VSTs for simple effects using your Isla S2400. Brilliant, beautiful machine.